Hello and welcome to the Merri-Cast, the show that puts you on the fast track to business confidence. My guest this week spent nearly a decade out of the workforce altogether, raising a family before returning in triumph as a massively successful entrepreneur. Today, Karina Murray is the founder and CEO of Aunua Global. She's not only an entrepreneur, but she's also a humanitarian and a youth advocate. She sat there one day in her kitchen and asked what she would do for work had she one wish. And she decided she wanted to run a charity, one with real meaning, real purpose, one inspired by her own fears for her children's future and influenced by her passion for promoting personal growth and development. And today, Aunua Global is an online global platform designed to enrich, embolden and embody the child experience around the world. Karina's story is a truly fascinating one, and I'll let her explain.
We all have to start somewhere. And I suppose it all starts with, the inspiration to do something, that's something really that ignites our interest to, especially when you're starting something new, like a new venture, it's, something generally triggers. But for me, it was, I guess, going back to, I got back to my stage when 2017, when I was coming out of the bubble, when I had my two children and life was wonderful and I wanted that to last forever, my realization was that I had to go back out into the working world again and reinvent myself, because 9 years at home, obviously it was a wonderful time, but obviously, a realization of coming back out and discovering new things about myself and the world and how much has changed in that time. There was a lot to discover. So I was looking for a new me, a new me, and that's where Aunua came from. Aunua is a play on words for new in Irish, and I'm from Ireland, from Dublin, and I went on a personal development journey. So I realized that during my time, I learned so much about the importance of finding our way back. So many women tend to make sacrifices. I wouldn't say sacrifice, because it was a wonderful time to be at home with my kids and have that opportunity. But I think giving up, what your independence and giving up a lot of what tends to be, your life revolves around your children when you do take that time, the career break. It was quite a long one for me, 9 years. But coming back, I realized that I needed to find my way back and discover, I suppose, ways to do that. And I decided, okay, we all need to believe in ourselves. We all need to find that again. And we all need to be mindful of the changes we're going to make. We all need to look at different approaches to our holistic well-being, mental and physical health. So all the pieces start coming together. I literally planned for 5 months a program, which was Aunua, and it was initially for women. And it ended up being for men and women, because we launched in a hotel here in Ireland with 140 people in the Lord Mayor of Dublin after 5 months of planning. And a lot of men were approaching saying, why can't we be part of this? So we just opened it out, because I didn't want to be a feminist and ruling men out as well. But I realized the importance of how important it is just to provide community initiatives that really support people, because so many people are struggling out there at the moment. And I think that, having a sense of, I suppose, that the whole initiative with Aunua started out with, we had a 5-week program. And the first one was an amazing woman who had a fantastic story, and she was a life coach. But she really turned her life around because she had a really tough life. She was an alcoholic. She had a lot of challenges with her marriage, her children, and really compelling story she had. And I was inspired by her story, and I asked her to jump on board initially with me. And she was the hook, the story, and I didn't feel I had a story. And this is the interesting thing that I see now that I had, and we all have a story. But at the time, I think we're so conditioned sometimes to believing that we don't have what it takes to do these things. And something just came over me. I suppose I recently just thought about it. I remember standing in my kitchen one day when my little boy was starting school at 5. I remember I was standing there, and I was asking myself the question, what would I do or want to do if I had one wish to do it? Because I just thought I have to find something that I'm interested in to go back into the working environment again. And this overwhelming feeling came to me, and I just thought of, I would give anything. I would love to, if I had any one wish to do anything, I'd love to work with children or young people. I'd love to have a charity to help make an impact. I'd love to feel like I'm doing something worthwhile and have something meaningful. I want to have a purpose in life. And I think this is really important for so many of us. We all need that purpose. But that moment in my kitchen, something came over me that day, and I think I must have put a message out in the universe, because everything changed from there. And honestly, it really is so important that we can connect with something that we're really passionate about. I never imagined. And I remember I actually said, oh, although I had that feeling, oh God, this could happen. This is what I want. But something then realization was like, how does somebody like me ever set up a charity for children? Like, how is that ever going to be possible? Because I always conditioned myself to believing that I was, I wasn't academic enough. I wasn't clever enough. I left school early. I took a different route. But I was always a great people person. I loved people. I loved getting the best from people. And I was a real connector and networker, and that's what I did well. But I had no idea the journey I was going to take was going to lead me to what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So let's freeze you at that moment in time there, where you're
Yes.
talking about you're there in the kitchen and you suddenly thought, if I had this one wish. Let's freeze that moment in time, because I want to come back to it, to the time when you'd actually made a decision you wanted to go back to work. Did you sort of find that a daunting challenge then? I'm just interested in whether part of the motivation in setting this up was that you yourself had found that a difficult and daunting challenge. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it was like, okay, well, how am I going to do it? Obviously, that's the question. And I kind of just, came out of that thought and, kind of let it land wherever it landed, out there in the universe, wherever it went. I put it out there. And I think that something was set, and some thought was set to kind of for the trail of events that happened thereafter. So I needed to find, I suppose, myself and find, my way back. And I thought, well, I'll set up a personal development program for women. And I know that, I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll build a team. I'm not an expert in education or mental health or any sort of, coach or any of these things. I don't have these skill sets. But what I could do is I could develop a program and, bring in the right team, the right people, and I could do something great with that. And that's exactly what I did. I reached out to different people. I don't know where it came from. I think that, it was also a time as well, I want to mention. I remember when I was going through at the time a lot of self-doubts and because a lot of different times around that time I was kind of searching for myself to bring myself back out to the working world. But I remember sitting with two of my friends one day, and I had a talk about going back out and working. And one of them said, my gosh, Karina, you'd be such a great politician. And I said, what? And I said, my God, I was so surprised that someone would say that and think that, because I am very kind of, I'm a great advocate. I really do talk my mind, and I'm very passionate about social causes, and I do talk about things but I didn't realize that I suppose, I had no idea that someone would feel that way. I thought, wow, that's interesting. But it is interesting what people say to you that can help plant a seed for maybe that is possible. Maybe it is possible for me to do something, impactful and be heard. But the trail of events thereafter, when I started out in the personal development journey, we launched with 140 people. This is the Lord Mayor. It was a fantastic experience. It was like the Oprah Winfrey Show, because this one amazing lady, we planned, like, this was 5 months of planning. When we launched it was like, wow, it was just so amazing to see so many other women and men too, like opening up and having conversations. It was like the Oprah Winfrey Show. I have to say, it was the closest thing to living in that, environment and feeling that way. And that was really, really amazed me to see the importance of these type of, as I said, these sort of programs. But what happened thereafter was, after those 5 weeks, and we went through each Monday evening, we managed to have a secure sponsor to cover these events to happen. And it was just a fantastic experience. But I learned so much throughout that time. And then it was literally then a few months later, a very good friend of mine, her 11-year-old son was really struggling with mental health difficulties. And that really, really, that's what really got to me. And I realized then as a mother, oh my God, this child was suffering with, he didn't want to live. He was going through a lot of issues. And I just thought, how can an 11-year-old child feel that they don't want to be in a world, and feel important enough to want to live and survive? And there was a lot of things are happening in his own head. And Thankfully, he's doing great now. But I remember thinking, wow, I'm going the wrong direction. I need to change my direction. I need to do something. And I realized I needed to be the voice for children because I realized that we need to do more. There's so lack of resources everywhere, and there's so much suffering out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're at this. So we're back to that moment in time then, sort of, where you're there in the kitchen, sort of thinking these thoughts, and then what actually, in practical terms, sort of happened next? You just get up and start doing it, or did you think
Yeah.
about it? Did you mull over it, or was it all action?
I thought, well, if I can do it, I've done it before and I can do it again. But this time I need to get really passionate people to feel the same way. I felt really compelled to do something. It was just something that really, it was just like a fire in my belly. And I just realized I need to do something about this. I've got to do something. I can't sit back and not take action on something. And I realized there's a lot of suffering. And the more I realized the lack of resources and support and how much there is out there, and so many kids are suffering, I realized, okay, I need to do something to create a program, and I'll get the best people on board. So then again, I kicked off and started realizing, okay, I need to get, somebody to do talks on this, that, and the other, and start putting together a plan. And I came up with a program, which was called ROAR. And ROAR is an acronym for recognizing your greatness. It's about opening up your self-awareness. It's about acceptance in yourself and the diversity in others. And it's about reconnecting with the world around you, what's possible. And it's about amplifying the voices of young people and giving them somewhere and resources and tools and talks. So I really started kind of putting this program together. We took it into some schools, did some talks with amazing speakers and people that, really amazing professional experts got on board. But I knew that it had to be something that we've got so many kids out there that are suffering. How do we create something that's more on a wide scale? Like, obviously in-person talks and presence for people to be there is so important, but to do something on a wider scale. So I realized that ROAR had to be a program that was online. So that's when we filmed and produced the content for the ROAR program. And that's when a lot of things opened up. Then there was a lot more conversations, a lot more connections. I think what happened really, yeah, do you want to ask me a question?
No, I was
Yeah.
just going to say that suddenly you're in this world where it's all opening up,
Yeah.
and yeah, the online delivery and so on. Was this an area you'd had any sort of previous sort of experience in, or were you just like
Yeah.
learning as you went along?
Yeah. It's been a complete learning for me. As I say, people in life, every day we walk past people that teach us something, the teachers in life are the everyday person that's walking around, sitting beside us on the bus or walking the streets with us. There's so much we can learn from people. This has been a whole learning experience for me. I had no idea about, as I said, mental health or education. I really didn't. But I knew that I could connect and bring out the best in people and start looking at those, bringing the best and the brightest together to help create what we need to do and connecting people. So, and it's really about, I suppose, everybody's got their own unique gifts and abilities, and it's about really encouraging that. And even like I mentioned earlier on, the sense of purpose, that's extremely important. If we could really harness that sense of purpose and really get young people to start understanding the purpose that they have, giving them initiatives that they're passionate about, teaching them about the value that they bring, we could shift so much when it comes to the narrative of mental health. And there's such a lot of uncertainty out there, and so many young people carrying so much on their shoulders and looking inwardly, when if they could connect to something else and realized, oh my God, this is something I can get involved in. That's what this ROAR community we're building is all about, is about giving young people an outlet, a way to come into an environment and a place. We're building lots I'll explain more, the metaverse of impact now, where people can come into an environment where they're learning about the world. They're coming into a place where they can, create their avatars and come and learn about the 17 global goals, come in and learn about projects and young people that are doing impactful work. And then be able to really bring these projects back out into their own homes and schools and communities, because these kind, compassionate leaders that are making the change and understanding the challenges that the world is facing, really igniting that in young people. And regardless of what your level of, education is. There should not be such constraints and limited, access for young people to be able to access resources that are going to teach them about what they can do. Yes.
It sounds more like, I mean, you're obviously, this is a business, but it also feels like a movement, really. Is that the case, or?
Absolutely. As I say about Aunua, it started out, literally in one direction, and everything has basically grown from there. It's all of the volunteers, the teams, the partners, the kids, the young people, all the young people, everybody that's got on board here has been part of this whole movement and have inspired everything. So there's so many projects and so much work we want to do in this whole space. And we've done like TV shows, magazines, we're building out, lots of exciting, fun, engaging ways for young people to be able to interact and learn from each other. So building and creating a movement, like I was on a call, seminar earlier on today about one section of Aunua, which we're looking to work on a project where this is to really engage and open up the conversation on menstrual poverty. And, this is something that, is a stigma around this whole conversation. And yeah, we look in the Western world where we have so many girls that are affected with this, and they're not able to access products that are going to help them have an independent life. And this is the Western world we're talking about. Look at the developing countries. Could you imagine if we were able to make an impact and help, support and give these girls, these kids as young as 11, 12, who have to give up education because now they are going through a menstrual cycle, and their education and the repercussions of that. So talking about movement, absolutely. We need to have a movement and changing the way we do things, the way we see things, the way we look at global citizenship, the way we empower young people, the way we connect them. Looking inwardly, we're not going to solve any problems, but we look outwardly and realize the ability that we all have. I never imagined I'd be able to be involved and be part of something and be able to create something from a seed of idea. We can all grow and we can all be part of something great. Yeah.
So if we think about it, I mean, in order to influence in this area, you've also obviously got to be talking to people, including politicians, the people that your friend said, oh, well, maybe you should be one, earlier on. I mean, do you feel like the political landscape, is kind of set up in order to provide this help, or are you educating them as you're going along?
Good question. Maybe I should be a politician. I'd have a better say at the table. You know what? I remember, really, it's interesting. From the beginning when I started out, I honestly felt that this is another thing that a lot of us carry, is that the insecurities of not knowing we're good enough. I took a different route. I actually, it's really unusual. I suppose to stem back to 2018. I started out in 2017, well, 18, so 17, 18. But I remember I had a lot of, I'd had a lot of, I suppose, I didn't realize that I didn't think I had a lot to offer, I suppose. I had to build up my credibility. And, LinkedIn has been a great place. I know this is how we met as well. And I suppose that so many conversations and connections and learning and the conversations I've had, God knows how many hundreds, thousands of conversations over the years. And I really it's been about, opening up those conversations and learning and seeing what the needs are out there, and really getting to see what the problems are so we can provide the solutions and look at all sorts of different ways. But I think with regards to what was the question again?
I was asking about about having to influence people in power.
Oh yes. Yeah. Sorry,
I almost forgot myself there. So,
my God, you remembered. Yeah. So really, I think it's like building up the credibility and the trust of people, and really, showing and proving that you can do certain things. I think that's really been important for me to validate that before I could really go to political leaders and say, okay, this is what we do. I did at the early stages. I took on, I gave myself a year once at the very beginning. I said, okay, give myself a year to do this. I took on a radio show. I had no idea about radio. I just winged it throughout, got loads of guests on, and it was really exciting. And it was a lot of things I threw myself into that I was, I was very green and really had no idea what I was getting, what I was, working towards. It was just like so many things evolved from there. But at the early stages, I suppose I felt that that was important, building up that credibility and that trust. So I could actually then, go to governments and start really speaking from a higher level, because I really, as we talk about a movement, it's really important that, you can actually speak to that. And I suppose I'm so passionate about the work that I do. I'm so passionate about change and about, all the different aspects of, empowering young people and equality and, and helping to address problems. I'm dealing with people that are really struggling and suffering. And I think that, it's when you are going down a track and you realize, there's no looking back once you're really passionate about something. So it's all full steam ahead.
I feel very excited talking to you, because you're talking with great enthusiasm about all these subjects. Now, the thing is about talking to thousands and thousands of people is that you get thousands and thousands of ideas. What do you like, though, in terms of prioritization, in terms of strategy? Do you latch onto the latest idea, or are there, or actually are you quite ruthless in terms of saying, actually, these are the things that I'm going to be doing, and I like all the chat around this, but it's actually things.
They talk about magpies going for all the shiny things, like the thing is, I think this is really interesting. Back in 2018, I won a scholarship to go to Bali, and that would opened up a lot of everything for me, because that really taught me so much. But it was called Entrepreneurs Institute in Bali, and it was the Genius
it's just the Roger Hamilton thing.
Roger Hamilton, yes, absolutely. And oh my God, that's incredible. Amazing. It's such a small world. But that whole that whole model of about all the different diverse energies that we have, and different types of skill sets, and being able to have a team and be able to work successfully, that really resonated with me so much at the early stages. And I became part of the founding member of the Genius School. And that was amazing. And I made amazing people, and it opened up so many global conversations, and that I never imagined possible. Like, I literally had been, it was a lady that I knew through the Get Up and Go diaries. And I met her, literally, I met her on, I think it was Facebook or something, the power of social media. And she was coming to Dublin from Sligo, and we had a conversation, and we met on a Thursday, and she said, by the Friday, there's a scholarship that you could apply for in Bali. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, sure. I applied by the Friday. I had to get it in because I didn't realize the closing date was the next day. Applied the following week, I got a notice back to say, you've got the scholarship, you're one of the scholarship winners. And a month later, I was on an airplane to Bali, and that changed everything. So it's amazing how quickly things can change for you, and can really set the seed for where you're going, and the trail of events that, do transpire. But yeah, it's interesting. You're familiar with that.
Yeah, well, I became involved with it sort of during the lockdown. In lockdown, I was looking for new ways to talk to people and reach people.
Yes.
And so I started going to a lot of those, webinars online, and I signed up. And so I knew people who I think have probably been in Bali at various points, people like Terry Vincent and Paulina Roach, and there was Roger kept popping up at these things. So yes, I'm very well there. But it was a wonderful world of possibility. It gave me a sort of a kind of new kind of compass, if you like, in terms of trying to develop my business. What about the various challenges that you've had along the way? I mean, being an entrepreneur, I'm biased, of course, because I think it's very exciting, but it comes with lots of challenges. I mean, what have been the biggest hurdles that you've had to sort of jump over?
Good question. It really can be difficult. It's just it is a learning curve. It was so much to learn along the way. And I think, like, I look at things back now, and I think that everything that I was meant to go through, and the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns, were all meant to happen. And I think they can be very challenging. And some days you're going, God, there was days I actually went through and I thought, do I really want to be a CEO? Do I really want this responsibility? Maybe I get somebody else to do it. Maybe I could just help support that part, because, I'm a mother of 2 children. I'm, my parents haven't been too healthy. I'm trying to juggle family and work and trying to, but I think what really is like Aunua is my third baby, it has become my lifeline, and I wake up every morning and I'm excited to what's coming, the new conversations, the opportunities, the possibilities of what those conversations can turn into. And, and that really excites me too. And it's interesting you should say that, I think that's really what really pushes you and really kind of helps encourage you. And then, there's days where things will really go so wrong, and you'll challenge yourself and start thinking, am I fit? Am I able to do this? This is such a big task. And it's, and I suppose that I've been really blessed along the way, because initially I set out with the whole journey, and this is what Aunua is all about. It's about providing a freely accessible, free and profits for purpose organization that I don't think any child or young person anywhere, there should be no, restrictions on what they can learn and how they learn. And I think that, we need to pave the way, and we need to provide our this generation of our kids growing up with everything possible to help them, because there is such uncertainty in the world now at the moment, and we're the ones, our generation has made the mess of the world, and we've got a responsibility. So I suppose recently, and I suppose over the last, I've been really looking for ways to monetize a lot of the work we're doing, because I think, it can be very exhausting and draining when you look at grants and applying for this and the other, and all this sort of thing. But I think that I really needed to kind of pull myself back and think, okay, how do we monetize this? So I'm very lucky. I have got a couple of really core team members on that I work with. One in particular in the UK, Nolene, who's been my rock, amazing lady. And we work really together on a lot of everything we do. So basically, there's a lot of exciting things that we have planned. And we realized, okay, if we put this all together in a business model and launch it as a new enterprise, it's going to be a way that we can actually help support companies with their ESG goals and help align them with the SDGs as well, and help them on their company social responsibility, because so many companies out there, are not sure how to integrate when it comes to addressing their ESG goals. And this is a service and a way that we can provide them with the opportunity to help and put a value on ourselves. So I think this is the thing as well. For so long, when you're operating as a nonprofit, that begging bowl for a long time, for years, I was carrying that mentality. And I think that it can be really, can be very limiting, and it can really get in on you. So I think changing the way I talk about Aunua and the enterprise and the value we're bringing in society and globally on overall, it's really important that we get the corporates on board to see the value and what we're doing and how we're looking to impact the lives of these kids. And that's really important. So, and
it's a whole new range of skills as well for you personally, because talking in that way, is all about putting yourself in the shoes of, I don't know, the HR director or chief people officer or someone, whoever's in charge of making of those decisions. So is that an adjustment you found easy to make, or has it had its own challenges?
Do you know what? I think that, every, people, it's interesting. I've got so many volunteers over the years that worked with me. And I suppose now, some people have this expectation of a CEO, and they feel, oh God, what's that? I'm hugging them, and I'm welcome, and I'm so, and I take on everybody, the more the merrier. And I'm just so, I think that, some people have there's so many CEOs out there, and they have I just see everybody's an equal. I don't, if they want support, because at the end of the day, with the Aunua enterprise, we can help really companies with a lot of different pain points that they're going through. And it's really about now, it's about everybody, supporting each other. And I suppose finding a way that we can help position them and give them good marketing opportunities, provide them with a valuable service that's good for them, and aligning them with projects that are meaningful, measurable, and impactful. That's really going to help showcase them in a really positive light, because really, at the end of the day, when we look into the eyes of our children, and every CEO, every person in the workplace, and you look at the eyes of your children, your grandchildren, and you say, I actually did help support. I made a difference. The work that I did, I was making money, I was being successful in my job, but I actually made a difference because I was able to see the importance of the impact I can make. And I actually really partnered with organizations that are doing the work, and seeing that impact and seeing the difference you can make. There's no value you can put on that, but every company will be held accountable at the end of the day. We all will, unless we do something about it. And, that's really important. So I think that, this is a really important time.
And I can just imagine you going into a business and being a breath of fresh air, and people, somebody who's just talking in sort of very clear, plain language about a subject that they clearly feel passionate about. And I think people will be very relieved to have you in their boardroom, sort of explaining a lot of these things and sort of understanding how you and they can work together. I mean,
yes.
We want to give listeners the confidence they need to succeed. And if there were one or two bits of advice you could give to sort of budding sort of social entrepreneurs, what would that be? I mean, so what would you effectively have said to you when you'd been out of that labor market for a decade and you're just about to start out? What would you be saying to that person?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. I'm so glad you asked me that, because there's so many people out there, and I know that it can be a very daunting journey to take on your own. So I would say, find the people that you can really find, people that understand what you're doing, and the people that encourage you, support you, get behind you. You really need encouragement, and you need to find even that one person to help keep you on track, because too many things can go wrong and you can really be shifted a different direction. Very often we do have to pivot. Don't be afraid to pivot if you feel that what you're doing is you're not going the right direction. If you keep doing it and it's not going right, look at different ways to do that. I'd say collaborate, have conversations, find a mentor, find different mentors, speak to different people, get advice. Don't be afraid to ask for help. People like to be asked. I'd be quite happy. People ask me for advice all the time. I'm quite happy to give any knowledge, anything, any nuggets. But I think it's really important just don't be alone on the journey of what you're doing. I know, it can be, and just really connect with what you're doing. If you really have a belief in what you're doing, and even if you don't, find an aspect of it that resonates and gives you an incentive to realize why you're doing it. But you really, having a passion and waking up every day and thinking, I'm doing this for the better good of, and I think if you really can have a bigger purpose, and you can align what you're doing with that purpose, I think that will help you see things and help you get through the days when they're tough. Yeah.
And with the younger Karina have possibly imagined what the older Karina would have become?
Never. So that's what I would say. It's as well, like I started out in my early 40s when I started out with this whole journey, and it was like, if I had known, it's been a complete, like I never thought, like imagined I'd go back to education, but this for me, it was like constantly learning. It's like I've been in learning, like I could have spent so many years in university learning, whatever else. I took a different route because that's what some people were saying. Would you're not, but I think that it's been a learning and it's been a great personal development learning journey. But what's really, really done it for me is that I just see the impact that, it's amazing when you realize what you're capable of, and challenging yourself and giving yourself goals and really working towards them. And just, opening up those conversations that you never thought you'd have. I never imagined it. So anything's possible. If it can happen for me, it can happen for anybody. Just, so there's a lot out there, and don't let anybody knock you down. Find someone to pick you up, and find someone to inspire you, motivate you, and just keep going. And don't be afraid to pivot if you feel you're not doing the right thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Ask for help.
Now, there's a lovely moment in there, and I hope you notice, where we both forget completely the question that I asked. It didn't really matter, of course, because we were both lost in the moment and in the enthusiasm for the conversation. And Karina is just this bundle of inspirational energy, a delight to spend time with. Also notice how Karina defies the stereotype of what a CEO or leader is or should be. She's very unconventional, but it's obvious that she's making a real difference to the world, and a breath of fresh air for a corporate world that frankly needs a bit of livening up. And I love Karina's lessons as well. I mean, find people that you understand and understand what you're doing, she said, and who can encourage you, support you, and keep you on track. And don't be afraid to ask for advice or help. Don't be alone on your journey. And also the final bit of advice, that it's amazing when your purpose is understood and allows you to realize what you're truly capable of doing. So thank you to Karina, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate and review through your usual podcast provider. And if you want to find out more about the Merri-Cast or our business Merri-Cast Media, you can find us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to join us for our next episode, but until then, thanks for listening.